Imagine a quiet afternoon, the kind where the air is thick and still. We're in Kansas, 1954. The sky, once a brilliant blue, suddenly turns a bruised, menacing shade of gray. A low rumble builds in the distance, not the familiar sound of a passing train, but something more primal, more ancient. Within minutes, the peaceful farmlands are plunged into chaos, staring down one of nature's most terrifying spectacles. A tornado. And this wasn't just any tornado. This one was about to rewrite the books on what was possible. Kansas is no stranger to twisters. It sits right in the heart of Tornado Alley. But the old-timers, the folks who had seen dozens of storms come and go, they knew this one was different. Survivors would later describe the sound not just as a freight train, but as a chorus of them, all roaring at once. The wind didn't just howl, it screamed. Trees were pulled from the earth like weeds and debris. Pieces of barns, cars, and lives were spun thousands of feet into the air, becoming dark specks against the churning sky. It was a scene of pure, unbridled destruction. But amidst this symphony of chaos, something utterly bizarre was about to happen. Our story focuses on a sturdy, well-built farmhouse near the small town of Udall. It was the kind of house built to last, with a strong concrete foundation meant to anchor it against the prairie winds. But this wind was different. As the vortex descended, its incredible power did not just tear at the roof or shatter the windows. It got underneath the entire structure. The house groaned, nails shrieked, and then, in a moment that defies belief, the entire building was ripped clean from its foundation. It was airborne. Now, you'd expect it to be torn to shreds, a cloud of splinters and dust scattered across the county. That's what tornadoes do. They don't gently relocate things. But this house didn't explode. Instead, it began to move, gliding through the air like some surreal, dreamlike apparition. Carried on the violent winds, it traveled nearly half a mile. Imagine looking out your window during a storm and seeing your neighbor's house just floating by. It's the stuff of fantasy, but on this day, it was terrifyingly real. When the storm finally passed and the deafening roar subsided, replaced by an eerie silence, rescue workers and neighbors began to pick through the wreckage. They were prepared for the worst, expecting to find nothing but a field of debris where the farmhouse once stood. But as they crested a small hill, they stopped in their tracks, mouths agape. There it was, the house. It wasn't a pile of rubble. It was sitting there, perfectly upright in the middle of a field, almost as if it had been there all along. Sure, it was battered. The windows were all blown out, the doors had been torn from their hinges, and the contents were a jumbled mess. But the structure itself, the walls, the roof, they were largely intact. It looked as if a colossal giant had carefully picked it up, carried it for a while, and then gently placed it back down. For the rescuers who had seen entire towns flattened to nothing, it was a sight that made no sense. It was a miracle sitting in a field of devastation. So, how could this possibly happen? How does a house fly half a mile and land without being obliterated? Meteorologists and scientists have puzzled over this for decades. One of the most compelling theories involves the tornado's inner core. A tornado isn't just a solid column of wind. At its very center is an area of extremely low pressure. The idea is that this low-pressure zone might have created a sort of air cushion directly beneath the house. This cushion could have buffered the structure from the most violent rotational forces, the very forces that would normally rip a building to pieces. It essentially allowed the house to ride on a pocket of air within the storm. Another school of thought suggests it might have been an incredible 1 in a billion stroke of luck. Perhaps the tornado's rotation, speed, and the house's specific orientation and construction all aligned in a perfect, fleeting moment. This perfect alignment could have balanced the immense pressure differences just enough to keep the house from imploding or exploding. The house was caught in a sweet spot of the vortex, a momentary pocket of relative calm in the heart of absolute fury. It's a game of cosmic odds that, in this case, the house somehow won. When you think about the sheer power of a tornado, this story becomes even more mind-boggling. These storms can generate winds over 300 miles per hour. They can drive a piece of straw through a solid wooden plank. They can scour pavement from a road. They are engines of destruction that can wipe a town off the map in a matter of seconds. And yet, in the middle of all that untamed power, the laws of physics bent just enough to spare this single home, to turn it from a victim into an unbelievable spectacle. So, what was it? Was it a freak occurrence of atmospheric physics? A perfect storm of meteorological variables creating a cushion of air? Was it just blind, dumb luck? A statistical anomaly that will likely never be repeated? Or, as some of the locals whispered in the aftermath, was it something else entirely? A miracle? A moment of grace in the face of nature's wrath? We'll probably never know for sure. The truth is likely a combination of all these things. What we do know is that the story of the flying Kansas farmhouse of 1954 has become a legend. It's a powerful reminder that no matter how much we study and predict nature, it will always hold the capacity to surprise us, to defy our expectations, and to create moments of pure, unadulterated awe. It shows us that even in the midst of the most terrifying destruction, there can be moments of inexplicable preservation, stories that blur the line between science and wonder. Whether it was physics, fate, or a flat-out miracle, the journey of that farmhouse stands as one of the strangest, most incredible, and most debated moments in the history of weather. It's a testament to the wild and unpredictable world we live in. If this story left you as amazed as it left me, do me a favor and hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. We've got so many more unbelievable true stories from history to share with you. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.